The Fashion Show, Chapter 19. During our second summer in America, we moved to a new apartment in a new town. At that point, I switched schools too. I had started out at Lombard High. Now I'm going to Wheaton North. The ESL department at my new high school has an international club. Kids from other countries meet every Wednesday after school to play games, talk, and have fun. Mrs. Eskadam, the teacher who sponsors this group, came from Sudan when she was 4 or 5 years old. World Relief helped her to get to America. Now she's all grown up, she has finished college, and she has a good job. It was she who organized this multicultural club, and she still runs it. I had nothing to do with the multicultural club when I first came to Wheaton High School because I could not stay at school after hours. I always had to rush home to study and take care of my mother's needs. Late last year, however, in the second semester, my life eased up somewhat and I decided to join the club. Right around that time, Miss Askadam had decided that the international kids should throw a party at the end of the year and present a show. She told us each to bring food from our country to the party, and she encouraged us to think about participating in the show as well. She announced that the first part of the show would be a dance performance by the kids from Mexico. Second part would be a fashion show. Kids from any country could be in the fashion show, and they would model clothes from their own culture, but no one had to do it. I felt torn and confused. I could not take part in the dance, of course, but should I be in the fashion show? I really wanted to do it. I did have 2 beautiful Afghan outfits I could model, but I was also thinking, my leg is damaged. What if I fall down? Finally, I said to myself, okay, next Wednesday, I'll sit in on the practice session and see what it's like, and then I'll decide. That day, the girl who always denigrates me, the one who said I would never learn to drive, came to the practice session because she was planning to be in the fashion show. The moment she saw me sitting there, she could tell I was thinking of entering the show too. She didn't ask if that's what I wanted, and she didn't tell me to my face that I could not do it, but she immediately called a few of the girls together to discuss what they would wear, and she pointedly excluded me. When I came over, she turned her back on me and pulled the ring of girls tighter to make sure that I would be left standing outside the circle, unable to join in. At that moment, I realized she did not want me in the show. The mere fact that I wanted to participate outraged her. Suddenly, she called out to the teacher. Miss Askadam, she said, when you model clothes in a fashion show, isn't this how you have to walk? Isn't this how models walk on a runway? Then she began to walk the way she thought a model should walk, with long strides, placing one foot in front of the other in a straight line that made her back end swing from side to side. Is this the way you should walk, she said. If someone can't walk like this, should she be in the fashion show? She would just spoil the whole thing, wouldn't she? She kept walking back and forth, swinging from side to side. It made me so angry because I knew that she was really saying, Farah can't do this. She has a problem with her legs. She shouldn't be in the fashion show. She didn't say my name, but she was talking about me and only me, and everyone knew it. That girl broke my heart. I felt as if somebody had punched me or slapped me. I felt as if someone had gotten into my throat and started pushing me and pressing me and choking me. I could not stay in that room. I turned and fled, my eyes stinging with tears. All the way home I cried. At home I threw myself on my bed and cried some more. I couldn't do my homework that day. I couldn't clean the house or cook or do anything. I just lay there weeping and feeling sorry for myself. Sorry about being only half a woman. I felt like everyone knew that I was not whole, and that's what they thought about every time they looked at me. The girl had finally succeeded in getting through my defenses and poking me right where it hurts the most, and where I would always hurt. And what happened just then? Alice called. Hey, she said. How are you, sweetie? Are you well? And I started to bawl. She said, what is it? What are you crying about? I said, nothing, never mind, just nothing. But she would not let it go. No, she said, you have to tell me. So I said, okay, here's what happened. And I spilled the whole story. Alice said, now don't get all hung up on what other people say. You just go ahead and do it. You tell your teacher you want to be in the fashion show. But I just went on crying. You don't understand. It's not just what other people say. The terrible thing is that girl's right. I can't be in a fashion show. It's true. How can someone like me be in a fashion show? With my limp, I can't walk like a model. That girl's cruelty ruined me, to be sure. But what really hurt was the truth she was telling. Why are you trying to inspire me to do something I shouldn't never even try? I ranted at Alice. It was one of those moments, you see, and Alice just let me rage. But then she said, no, that's not how the story goes around these parts. People aren't looking at you that way. Here we value you, who you are as a person. You go right ahead and enter the fashion show fearlessly. Well, I thought about it. I thought I should do it just to spite the girl who made those mean remarks and tried to keep me out of the show. I decided I had to do it, even if it meant falling down in the middle of the runway, because if I let that girl get away with talking about me as if I were half human, she would never stop. She would make me her scapegoat for the rest of my time in Wheaton North, and others would take up her view as well. I had to stand up for myself no matter what happened, because this was not just about a fashion show. It was about claiming my humanity. I had to do it. I went to my teacher the next day and told her I wanted to enter the fashion show. She just looked at me for a moment and then rose out of her seat and hugged me. Farrah, she said, this makes me so happy. After that, I began to make my preparations. I had the clothes all ready, so I just put them on and started to practice walking. No, I started to practice strutting down a runway. On the day of the fashion show, my mother had a doctor's appointment and Alice took her there. The doctor was running a bit late. My mother got anxious. She wanted to see me up there modeling Afghan clothes. She was afraid that the doctor would make her miss the show. She urged Alice to tell the doctor to hurry up. But of course, a doctor isn't going to hurry up so that one of his patients can get to a fashion show on time. Alice could do nothing. She and my mother just had to sit there and bide their time. The show was slated to start at 4 o'clock. At 3:45, my family had still not arrived. I stood backstage, peeking through a crack in the curtains and wringing my hands. Without my family, without Alice and John and my mother, it just would not be the same. And then I saw them. They arrived exactly at 4. Drenched with relief, I hurried to the dressing room to get ready. I had time because the dancing group was going on first. I had 2 dresses to wear, an orange one and a purple one. Backstage, the makeup people put cosmetics on my face and curled my hair so that I looked really different than usual. The teacher saw me and said, "Oh my gosh, you look so pretty." The dance performance ended and the fashion show began. Each model was supposed to go out and walk around the stage in a certain pattern, a diamond-shaped pattern. We were each supposed to move to the front of the stage, then to one side, then to the back, then to the other side. At each point of the diamond, we were supposed to pause for the audience and strike a pose. When my turn came, I went strutting out. I threw my shoulders back and held my head up high so that my neck stretched long. I didn't fall, and I didn't shake. I didn't even feel nervous. When I finished my pattern, I went backstage, changed into my other dress, went back out, and did the whole thing again. Alice told me later that no one could tell about my legs. I moved in time to the music, showed the clothes off well, and smiled. I did just fine. My mother beamed. She didn't say much at the time, but later on at home, she told me she felt proud of me. Imagine that. Proud that her daughter stood up before an audience of strangers and modeled our beautiful Afghan clothes. She, too, had come a long way since we arrived in America. After the show, the party began. We had all bought special foods from our various cultures. My mother had cooked a fancy Afghan rice dish. We all ate and chatted and felt happy. That night, even though it wasn't literally true, I felt that I was wearing high-heeled shoes at last.